before you can race the Honda Indy 300, you must qualify. Welcome to the first of 2 rounds of qualifying for the 17th race of 19 in the 2002 CART FedEx Championship Series. Hello everyone, I'm Bob Varsha. We have a huge crowd on hand here in Surfers Paradise. Temperatures in the 80s and a cool breeze blowing in off the Pacific Ocean as we welcome you live to Surfers Paradise here on Speed Channel. Let's set the stage now, beginning in the pit lane with Derek Daly.
Bob, Surfers Paradise is also a racing paradise because this is the finest street racing event in the world, bar none. As you can imagine, the Queensland sun just blazes down on my lily white Irish skin, so I have to take refuge under the Australian national hat here, the Akubra. Now, believe it or not, I couldn't overstate the interest all week long here. Do you know that 53,000 people turned up yesterday just to watch the practice sessions for some of the support series? And this morning, Chris Pook announced a new contract. CART will be here until 2008. But you know what? The Australians, they love to party. And they are famous for shedding their inhibitions and their clothes. They've done it most of the week, particularly over the beach. And you know who joined them? Many of our drivers. With more on that, let's go down to Calvin Fish. Calvin?
Well, Double D, the fans certainly love it down here. When you ask any of the Champ Car stars what is their favorite stop on the circuit, they all say down under in Australia. They love the racetrack, but they love the fun in the sun and the relaxation with family and friends this particular weekend. Now, one driver is certainly able to relax a little bit more than some of the other guys right now, and that is, of course, Cristiano D'Amato. With his win in Miami, the 7th of the season, he has now been given that coveted #1 title to run for the remaining 3 races in this championship season. Now, he certainly set some new goals for he and the team. They want to try and surpass the 8-win record in a kart season and go beyond that, maybe 9 or 10 with 3 races remaining. And even though that #1 title is sewn up, the battle for #2 is very intense. Newman Haas would love to try and emulate what Ferrari have done in Formula 1 and have 1-2 in the championship. Christian Fittipaldi, currently 5th, is certainly in with a shot, Bob, but there's a lot of other drivers going to hunt that #2 spot down.
No question about that, Calvin, as we take a look at the championship with 16 races down and 3 to go, including this weekend at Surfers Paradise. Cristiano D'Amato cannot be caught, but Bruno Junqueira, Dario Franchitti, Patrick Carpentier, and others, 11 in all, have a mathematical shot at second in the championship. Jimmy Vasser tied with another driver for 8th. Having turned the page, I've forgotten who that. Michael Andretti is who it was. Paul Tracy there in 10th. And Scott Dixon, despite being 129 points behind, still has a shot at second place in the title chase. Why is that important? It is worth $500,000. Welcome to Surfers Paradise. I'm Bob Varsha, along with our Speed Channel social director, Tommy Kendall, who has been working very hard this weekend, sweating bullets, checking out all of the many charms of surfers. What have you learned, TK?
Well, the thing that strikes you, a lot of the guys get down here at least a week early. They say it's to cope with the jet lag. I noticed that the guys don't do the same thing when they go to Motegi, Japan. There's good reasons for that. The atmosphere here is phenomenal. Not only is the racetrack great, this overall area, but the atmosphere amongst the drivers. The hotel that everyone stays at, every single driver and almost all the teams are staying there. You see team meetings on the beach that surrounds the lagoon there. They got tropical fish in there. You're riding the limos to the nightlife. I was in one last night. Oriol Servia's yucking it up with Paul Tracy about taking him out a few years ago. Paul deadpan said, I didn't find that very impressive. And then you see the guys razzing each other back and forth about how tight Cristiano D'Amato is. The camaraderie is really something to behold, and these guys are really loose coming into a fun weekend.
You got a limo?
Hey, Bob, Speed Channel, man, we're big time.
Well, of the last 8 winners of this race, and we told you that no man has won this race twice, of the last 8, 6 will be in the field for Sunday's race. 2 will not. One of those is 1998 winner Alex Zanardi. The other is a man who will join us this weekend. Let's take you back to 1997.
Well, it appears that Pruett is in good shape now, and we have 2 flags, both of them checkered from the flag stand as Scott Pruett flashes underneath to take what surely must rank as one of the most unusual race victories of his career.
Second career victory for Scott Pruett after 2 white flags, and of course afterwards, our man Scotty did the coffee grinder, his traditional victory celebration. And here is Mr. Coffee Grinder 2002. What are your memories of that?
Still living a moment, man. Still living a moment. It was awesome. Awesome. Coming down here, having a great time, celebrating my honeymoon. And yeah, we love it. I mean, we've come down here. In fact, I looked at the stats. We were talking about earlier. Coming down here 8 times, 1 DNF, and my average finish is 3.6. Not too bad.
Let the owners know you may find yourself a ride for this weekend. That must have been a weird race. You beat the late Greg Moore after 2 white flags when the flagman evidently lost count. That must have been pretty strange.
That was very strange. What happened was the team was telling me, this is the white flag. I saw it come up. Hey, this is great. I saw Greg behind me. No heat. So I start slowing down, take it a little careful, make sure I don't do anything stupid on that run to the checkered flag. And so we exit, actually last turn coming on the front straight. He's right on me. I'm thinking, hey, no sweat. All of a sudden, another white flag. I go, oh, no, I got to get back down to business here and make it happen. But it was unbelievable. And I was supposed to be the guy to do the first winner repeat. I wasn't. I was very disappointed. But there's going to be one of the guys doing it this weekend, and it's going to be awesome. Cristiano Romano obviously wants to do that. Dario Franchitti had some problems this morning. He wants to do it, whatever it's going to be. These guys are done playing. Now it's down to business.
Well, we'll find out in a moment who will sit on provisional pole for this weekend's race. We'll have 15 minutes of practice, then a 10-minute break, and 35 minutes of qualifying. Here's a look at some of the many charms. Ladies, you can get a head start towards the refrigerator. Guys, stick around. We'll be right back. Speed Channel's coverage of the Kart FedEx Championship Series is brought to you by Porsche, what only a Porsche brings to driving. And by Arctic Cat. There's never been a better time to buy an Arctic Cat ATV. Arctic Cat, more to go on. Beautiful blue skies and a light breeze in Surfers Paradise. There's the Nerang River, which runs through the middle of one of the world's greatest street racing circuits here in Surfers. Let's get to Derek Daly.
I think it's fair to say that this team here, Team Green, might be Australia's national team for this weekend. Barry Green, of course, you're from Australia. You have to be very proud to bring your team back here, Barry, to race in front of your home crowd in your home country.
Well, it makes us feel very proud, Derek. You know, all the drivers and all the team owners and all the team members all talk about coming here and what a great week it is. And I mean, the excitement in the air here is just fantastic. You know, there's never a minute without something happening. And up in the air or on the ground or whatever, a lot of people come out for it. I'm not sure they all see the race cars run, but they're certainly here for the party. But no, it makes us feel very proud. And, you know, certainly we won here a couple of years ago with Dario, finished second last year. And we'd certainly like to win this year. And, you know, 3 great drivers in the race. I stand a good chance, I think.
So did you live the lifestyle, Barry, that we see here this weekend? You know, all these sort of distractions?
I shouldn't answer that, Derek. It's a great country, you know, that's for sure. We lived a long, long way away from here, and we lived in farming country, but still some beautiful beaches and great weather. So the food certainly is good, isn't it?
It certainly is. He didn't admit to it, but the smile on his face, I think, said he's enjoyed living here too, fellas.
All right, thanks, Double D. There's Dario Franchitti, one of Barry Green's drivers. He, along with teammates Michael Andretti and Paul Tracy, 3 of the 6 former winners of the Honda Indy 300 will be in this year's field. Here's a look at the morning practice times. Cristiano D'Amato led the way by 0.3 of a second over Adrian Fernandez. D'Amato, a former winner, same for Fernandez. 3rd quick, Jimmy Vasser. 4th quick, Paul Tracy. Then Michel Jourdain Jr., who this weekend will try to extend his points-paying streak to 19 races over 2 seasons. Kenny Breck in there in 6th. Then Tony Kanaan, who took pole on a street course in Miami, Florida 3 weeks ago. There's Michael Andretti in 11th. Cristiano D'Amato took his backup car out for a few laps. And Oriol Servia was 20th on the morning practice sheet. We'll take another break. We expect cars on track shortly for 15 minutes of practice. Stay with us.
All right, here we are in beautiful Surfers Paradise, and we're here with this beautiful driver, Tony Kanaan. Hey, Tony, I know you enjoy to come here a lot, but what are you expecting for this race?
Well, I hope Morris has given me a good car, because in Miami it was me who carried the car because Morris and the boys didn't give me a good car, and I thought I could win in my hometown, but I made a complete screw up and an idiot of myself.
You can't say that on TV, he's gonna bip.
By blocking Dixon. I looked like an idiot.
Well, it's an opinion of, in my opinion, as a Derek Daly Racing, our experienced race car driver for years. I have a school. I think Tony Kanaan did a great job over there. He was allowed to one move. He did the move, but they still penalize him.
Derek, let me tell you, I think you are the best broadcaster in television. Thank you, Derek.
Ah, yeah. Fun and games in Surfers Paradise. Tony Kanaan along with Derek Daly. There's Michel Jourdain Jr. serving in a classic volleyball game. You see all that and more on CART Friday night, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific here on Speed. Friday qualifying comes up at 11:30 p.m. Eastern time. Prime time for you folks out on the West Coast. And the Honda Indy 300. Saturday night, live here on Speed. Our pre-race coverage starts 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific, with the race starting at the stroke of midnight. Now, Derek Daly, you pretty much abused Tony Kanaan there as we see cars now out on track for practice. Did TK exact a little revenge?
I tell you, I don't like Kanaan. And wait till you see what he did to me on my on camera at the start of CART Friday night. And as you once told me, Bob, revenge is a dish best served cold.
Ah, yes. Well, we look forward to that. Meanwhile, we have the business of cars on track. 2.795 miles around. And the drivers are unanimous in their opinion that it is the best street circuit you'll find anywhere. Look down on the Esplanade, which becomes Main Beach Parade before the drivers turn left onto Breaker Street. There is the number 1 replacing the traditional number 6 on the Newman Haas Lola Toyota for Cristiano D'Amato, wearing Caltex Haviland sponsorship this weekend in honor of the visit to Australia. Let's take a look at the track map with TK and Scotty Pruitt.
Well, here it is, 190, 191 down the front straight, down into turn 1. Right-left combination, hard on the gas out of that, 2, 3, quick right-left. Hard braking down into 3, accelerate back down into brakes, down into 5. When you see the 5 complex, the thing that's going to take most abuse are going to be the pylons. These guys are going to beat them up. You'll see that in qualifying. Back up to about 175 through 6 and 7. Quick right and left again combination. Then into turn 8, hard on the brakes, downshift. And then probably one of the toughest parts of the track, 9, 10, 11. And coming on the front straight, hard on the gas up through the gears.
Now, you were talking about turn 11. You think there's a couple changes for this year. One, they've taken these big bumps off the top of the curbs. That's just been like a green light to the guys, and they have been bombing over, tearing those cones out within the first 2 laps of every session starting. But the other thing you said, Scott, also coming out of turn 11 there's a lot of painted lines, big increasing radius. You think in the past when the tires got worn, that was tough to deal with. Now you think the traction control pretty much negates that part of the driver equation.
The less horsepower, the traction control is going to make it more difficult. This is one of those tracks where you really could set a guy up. You could drive him in a little bit deeper, you get him a little sideways, but now they can just come hard on the gas with the traction control controls.
The curbs have definitely been a topic of discussion this weekend. Calvin Fish has more.
Well, TK mentioned the fact that guys are really pounding over those curbs and over the pylons, and CART's seriously considering this evening going out and changing the severity of those curbs to keep the drivers off them. Now, typically on a street course, you expect day 2 of qualifying to be faster. But I'll pose this question to Scott. The fact that if you use the curbs, they say is worth over half a second. If they can't do that tomorrow, today may in fact be pole day.
It certainly could be. And what's crazy to me is that one of the first years we came down here, that was the issue. I mean, we drove straight over the curbs. In fact, in '95, I was chasing Jimmy Vassar. He was running 1. I was running position 2. On lap 2, he cut over the top, cut the pylons, and it actually went up and stuck in my roll hoop. He cut it and stuck it right up in my roll hoop. It was unbelievable.
You're on board there with Dario. That wasn't what we were talking about. He went dead straight. He couldn't get the car stopped, and he went through the escape road that they have for them to drive through. If you do that in the race or qualifying, they will dock that lap unless you, like in the race, if you resume your position. Derek, you have more on that?
Just a minute ago, you saw Cristiano D'Amato just drive right over the curbs and over the top of those little witches' huts, as they call them here, or witches' hats. Now, the old days, Fernandez or Dominguez in the wall. In the old days, they just placed those cones there. Now they're actually bolting them to the ground. So when you go across, you can chop them off, but they are causing damage. This morning, Paul Tracy went through 3 nose cones, in fact, ran out of them, ended the session with the nose from Dario Franchitti's car on his, and also Kenny Brack broke the nose cone on his car, slicing off the cones. But as soon as they sliced the cones off, then you went half a second a lap quicker, as did everybody else.
Thanks, Derek. There is Mario Dominguez, the only driver without a previous start in the series. Let's see what happened to him.
Wow.
Ooh, that's something we've seen in years past where entering that turn 1 chicane, they brake and it's a little bit slippery there, and the car, the tail end, you get the rear brakes locked under braking, and the car will slew and point nose into the right on the wall there.
Whatever it was, that was a pretty interesting move. Ended up in the outside there. He's just slowly getting out of the car.
Now, for bringing out the red flag in this practice session, he will lose 8 minutes. They will park him for 8 minutes. First ever Surfers Paradise start for Dominguez, the rookie from Mexico City. Coming up later today, Winston Cup qualifying from Atlanta Motor Speedway, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then followed at 9:30 p.m. Eastern by Trackside. Join our NASCAR Winston Cup analysts and some drivers. Talk things over at Atlanta as the Winston Cup season reaches its climax. We'll be back with more here on Speed Live.
Welcome back to Surfers Paradise Australia. Paul Tracy did 1 lap, and just look at the damage already on his front wing. See the scuff marks all through here? See that? That's the top of the witch's hat, as they call the cones here, on his very first flying lap. By the time this session is over, this wing could be hardly recognizable. And this morning, as I told you earlier on, he actually had 3 different wings in one session. Calvin?
Well, Derek, we talked about Cristiano D'Amato maybe being a little bit more relaxed. Now, look at his new helmet design. This was put together by his 2 brothers, Gustavo and Felipe. They kind of designed some of the helmets. Tony Kanaan currently wears one of their designs. And it comes from the Austin Powers movie, which is apparently Cristiano's favorite movie. And as he likes to say, this is just shagadelic, baby. Yeah, baby.
All right, thanks very much, guys. There is lots new up and down the pit lane, including Paul Tracy's new haircut. We'll have more on that as the weekend goes on. Here's a look at where Cristiano D'Amato stands. Earlier, Calvin talked about the new goals he has set for himself now that he's won the Vanderbilt Cup in 2002. He has 7 victories coming in, an 8th, and he'll have 3 races to do it, would tie the series single season record shared by Michael Andretti and Al Unser Jr. He also has 6 poles this season. The record in a single season is 9, shared by Mario Andretti in 1984 and Danny Sullivan in 1988.
Well, I wanted to check Cristiano's wings because he was just as brutal on the cones to see if maybe they're holding up a little bit better. The damage comes until the cones are cleared off. Eventually they'll cut those cones clear off when someone hits it hard enough, and then it'll be clear sailing. But the Newman Haas guys have those things covered up. Don't want anyone to see their settings.
I want to thank all of you for joining us from the World Series Game 5, won by the Giants 16-4 here in Surfers Paradise. There's a look at your 5 fastest drivers. 15 minutes of practice will continue shortly, followed by a break, and then we'll go on the clock in first round qualifying. Welcome back live to Surfers Paradise, where we have just gone green after a short red flag brought out by rookie Mario Dominguez. I'll give you another look at what happened.
See, it's kind of arching to the right there, and it looks like a car just got away from him, and then straight into the barrier. Hard hit.
And with that, Dominguez will sit out the remainder of this session. And after a 10-minute break, we'll be on the clock for 35 minutes of qualifying, with 30 minutes of it guaranteed to be green flag. In the meantime, let's go to Derek Daly, standing by with an interested spectator.
Yes, indeed, with karts leader, Mr. Chris Pook. Chris, I know you were famous for the great things you did at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. But when you look around here at Surfers, Chris, it's hard to say there's any place better than Surfers Paradise for motor racing.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, isn't it, Derek? It's they've done an incredible job. The event's well organized, the city's well organized. I mean, traffic moves, and the cops are doing an outstanding job. And then you come inside the circuit, and it kind of blows you away to what they've done. I mean, I was here in April. This little park standing behind us was really just a normal little park, and then all of a sudden, wow, it's transformed into a modern-day motor racing facility. So all credit to them, and the crowd's terrific. I mean, atmosphere's good.
Chris, we did mention earlier about the contract extension till 2008. The interesting thing is here that the newspapers are so full of motor racing, the community supports this event.
Oh yeah, the community supports this event all the way from, you know, the top of the state of Queensland to the bottom of the state of Queensland. I mean, you know, you had the Premier and Deputy Premier here today, and they're pumped and excited about it. And, you know, they understand what we're doing with the company, and they're fully supportive.
Thank you, Chris. Calvin?
Well, we got Dario Franchitti down here. Dario, problems with the clutch in this morning's practice session has reared its head again right now.
Yeah, we changed the clutch. We only managed 3 laps this morning. I've had a clutch problem, so we changed it, and we've had a different problem with the clutch again now, so we're going to go to the backup car.
You're reluctant to switch to the backup car. You said the primary felt so good this morning, but are the cars identical, or is it just you can't have a favorite?
Yeah, they're identical, so I was quite happy to switch. The guys just, I don't know, for some reason they seem quite reluctant to do it, but yeah, it feels good. Felt really good. Only 3 laps, like I said, but looking good.
All right, mate, have a good weekend.
Dario Franchitti, one of only 3 drivers to have won 2 poles here in Australia. Michael Andretti in 91 and 95, Nigel Mansell in 93 and 94. Dario Franchitti took pole in 98, and then in 1999 took pole, led the most laps, and won the race for a complete sweep of the points.
I'll tell you what, his pole lap here in 1998 was absolutely breathtaking. The way he went through that fast chicane on the back, really, you know, full commitment. That's what it takes in that fast thing. Once you commit, if you get in a little bit too deep, you're in big trouble. And he just really stove it in there on the last lap and was rewarded with pole. So what the guys like about this track is it's unlike Denver or even Miami, where you can really attack. And so taking chances pays off with quicker last time.
This is one of those tracks, racing here as many years as I have, you can be aggressive, you can be dynamic, you can make things happen here. Jumping the curbs, cutting the curbs, jumping in some of these areas, which we're seeing some of these guys do right now. It's unbelievable how aggressive you can be with this place.
Just saw the checkered flags wave over the session. The clock continues to run even during the red flag. We are time certain here in Surfers Paradise. A moment ago, Bruno Junqueira making his way around. Not an awful lot of practice accomplished in this session. Several drivers got in 5 laps, but that is the most. Jimmy Vasser was black flagged at the end for a pit lane speed violation. As you watch Tony Kanaan on the backside.
And for Dario Franchitti, he talked about how CART has changed the session to do this quick practice session. That's going to be big dividends for them. Now he can get back in, get his backup car, and get it ready for qualifying before that's taking place.
Down on the Esplanade as Tony Kanaan makes his way around.
The cool guys do a little something different with their backup car. A lot of the teams like Ray Hall and I think Newman Haas as well, when they unload their backup car, any change that is made to the race car throughout the weekend automatically gets done on the backup car at the same time. So if you ever have to switch to it, it's basically as close as it was at the start of the session. It's on the plate between every session with every change. Team Cool Green does not do that. They don't touch their backup car until they need it. So this, even with this 10-minute break, they're going to be thrashing a 15-minute break to get it going.
Jump the curbs a little bit. That's the technique around surfers. Jump it, but get away with it. Stay out of the fence.
That's Bruno Junqueira. We're going to take a break. Practice is done. Qualifying awaits. There's your top 10. We'll be back in a moment to Surfers Paradise.
Welcome back, everybody, to the sunshine of Surfers Paradise, Australia. Mario Dominguez, who is chasing Rookie of the Year in the Herdez car. Mario, we saw an unusual accident when you hit the wall. What happened?
Well, as I braked, the rear got sort of locked up, so it got loose and it went to the right, and I lost it on the braking and hit exactly in the spot where the tires on the wall is, so it was a pretty hard hit.
So you're going to use the spare car?
Yeah, we're going to go on the spare car.
Okay, Mario. He is, I believe, only 3 points ahead of Townsend Bell in that Rookie of the Year chase.
Well, actually, Derek, he's 2 points behind Townsend Bell, and the phenomenal thing there is that Bell has started only 9 races this year to Dominguez's 16. So
Townsend, though, doing a good job of battling it, holding him off from the couch there in Santa Monica.
You put that so well, TK. Let's go to Calvin Fish.
Well, one guy who is a man on a mission this weekend is Scott Dixon. Scott, so close to the win, or certainly the lead there in Miami, and you and Tony had a little bump, which is up for conjecture as to what happened there. But you guys have been really strong on the street courses, Denver and at Miami, the last one.
Yeah, I think the team does a great job. We've obviously seemed to have fine-tuned our setup for the street courses. Miami, Denver were good. I think Miami we could have walked away with that one, but I just hope we do well here. This morning we had a few troubles just with the car being too low, and we sort of wrecked a set of tires. But I think the speed's going to be there, hopefully.
I'm not sure how many of our viewers know this, but you were actually born in Brisbane. We think of you as a Kiwi with your parents, but you were born here in this country. How many fans and home family you got here asking for tickets this weekend?
It's always a good one. Your phone doesn't stop, but everybody understands. That you can't give tickets to everyone, but it's just good to be home. See a lot of people that you haven't seen for a year or so, and just the family that comes over. It's just nice to have people there, interested in what you do.
Let's talk about Miami a little bit. I mean, there's the bump there with Tony. You had a very strong car. Right from opening practice session, you had a lot of grip in the slippery part of the racetrack. You're always a factor there. Have you spoken to Tony since the incident?
No, not really, actually. I saw him a bit last night, but he didn't really have too much to say. From what I saw of it and make out of it, it was pretty blatant. But Tony, is a nice guy and he always races clean. I just don't know what happened in Miami, but it sometimes happens.
All right, mate. Hopefully you can get one this weekend.
Excellent.
Here's a look at Scott Dixon in action on the course.
And watch, this is what they're doing. And look at, bang, slice it right off. Ginsu action on the front wing. So now he's cleaned it off so everybody else is safe from here on out.
That is the turn to jump and to cut.
Now we want to take you back 3 weeks ago to the streets of Miami and the contretemps between leader Tony Kanaan and second man Scott Dixon.
And Calvin said there's some conjecture as to what happened. I don't think so. Scott summed it up pretty well. Tony literally just kind of, I think he got caught up in wanting to win his home race. And sure, the rule book says you're allowed one move, but if you interpret the rules that way, you're going to be putting people out of the park and worse. So Chris Neifel made the right move in my estimation, parking Tony there. The rule is a little ambiguous in that way. It does say you're allowed one move, but this was not the intention.
Not when he's side by side. You can't make that move. Tony, I wanna keep it clean, buddy, but that's a hard one to come clean on.
You get one move, but you have to make sure there's not a race car occupying the piece of racetrack you're moving toward. Let's go to Derek Daly.
With a man who has good memories here, because like our own Scott Pruitt, Jimmy Vasser here was a winner at Surfers Paradise. Lots of good memories, Jim.
Yeah, a lot of memories here. Not even that, more than that too. This is a great place, and it's a fun track to drive, and it's a place where you can stack up a lot of good memories on and off the track.
Jimmy, let's go back to Miami. A friend of yours, Paul Tracy, got dumped off into the tire barrier by you. Did you guys have words after that little incident?
Well, he knew it was a mistake. I wasn't sizing him up from right behind him. I was passing Tagliani, so it certainly wasn't intentional. I got to get in the car here, but now we're cool. No problems.
No problems. Have a look over here, though. Jimmy's biggest fan this weekend, of course, is the man on the pit wall, well known and a friend to many people, including TK. That is Jimmy's dad, known as Silverback.
Silverback, because he's got the gray hair on his back. He's like the silverback gorilla.
Looks like you might have heard you say that, TK. Jimmy Vasser won 3 of the first 4 starts, including Surfers Paradise, back in '96, en route to a championship. We'll be back. Speed Channel's coverage of the CART FedEx Championship Series is brought to you by Acura, the new 200 horsepower Acura RSX Type S. And by FedEx, proud sponsor of the FedEx Championship Series. Green flag has waved and we are on the clock for 35 minutes of qualifying. Adrian Fernandez is on track. Right now let's get to Calvin Fish.
Well, one driver certainly has very good and bad memories of this place. Christian Fittipaldi, the big crash in '97 put you out for a few, and then you came back with a podium finish in '98. You love this racetrack?
Well, it's a pretty interesting racetrack. Of all the street courses we go, I think it's the one where the party is the biggest after the race. And they really do a great job over here. We've been coming here since the early '90s, so I think that they learned a lot during all these years, and they really prepared this place very well. But as far as the big crash in '97, that's behind. And as you said, like, I came back the following year, finished on a podium, and now let's go on for some more.
Talk about the championship chase. You're very much in the battle for that second spot. Your teammate has #1. How much emphasis does the team now put on getting you promoted to that #2 position?
Well, we're trying the best we can right now. Obviously, you need to be really consistent these last 3 races and score some points. I need to play a little bit of catch-up on Bruno because I think I'm 25 points behind him. But all it takes is me having a very good weekend and him having a bad weekend, and we're all pretty much the same. So we're definitely looking forward to finish 1 and 2 in the championship if we can.
Well, Christian certainly got the speed. He had a second-place finish at Miami and the fastest lap, Bob.
And he has some other good memories of Australia. It was here, down in Sydney, that he proposed to his wife, Andrea, who was with him this weekend. Two ran together in the Chicago Marathon a couple of weeks back. Watch Adrian Fernandez through turn 4 and on to the long backstretch.
To refresh people's memory about Christian's accident that he was referring to, he broke his femur in a high-speed crash right before you lift for turn 1. He and Gilles de Ferran got together. Christian was trying to defend his position against Gilles. Gilles got up next to him and turned him hard left into the wall. And so, you know, probably the most serious accident of his career, broke his femur.
That was a brutal crash. For Christian, put him out for quite a while. You look at Fernandez. Now this track is very difficult as well because there's a lot of crown to the road. The middle is higher than each of the outsides because it gets so much rain at times, which means the drivers have to be very, very careful not to lock the brakes. Not through here, but going into this next complex before you come onto the front straight, right here, very difficult to keep from locking one of the front tires. In fact, Patrick Carpentier locked one so hard he actually burned a hole all the way through a Bridgestone.
You can see that on the pavement. The dark black strip there is from a little bit, even if you don't lock it all the way, it just starts to lock. It drags that tire a little bit and puts the rubber down. But, you know, these cars are so stiff. When you put a little bit of load in it, the sway bar lifts up and unweights that inside wheel.
You mentioned rain. They'd pay a lot for some rain here in eastern Australia. They're in severe drought conditions. Water use is restricted. Open fires absolutely banned. Let's go to Derek Daly.
Just a quick technical update, talk about grip. Of course, grip from the tires is the #1 thing you need. Team Green just measured the track temperature, 115 degrees, which is actually about ideal for these tires to start working to get some good grip, 115. Although they say the ambient temperature is slightly cooler than the end of the practice session this morning. Calvin?
Well, Derek, talking about the tires, the Bridgestones that have been brought here is the same tire they brought to Denver. It's the hardest street course option that they have, but because the grip level is so much higher here, the guys are able to get them to come in much sooner. 2 laps is all it's take, and then they can really cut a fast lap. So what we expect this afternoon is to see guys go out on their first set of stickers, do a run, come back in, do a chassis change, and then go out on their second set. So we expect 3 runs per drivers this afternoon.
Thank you, Calvin. Watching Patrick Carpentier through the chicane. And there are some of those dune cones we've been talking about, or witches' hats, as Derek refers to them. Oops, Shinji Nakano moments ago, just a bit inside.
Look at these guys drive straight over. Great shot right here. Turn 6 is that turn you drive straight over the top.
Cone killers, every single one of them.
See, another bit of the pavement there where they're locking the inside wheel. The dark rubber matches up with the inside left front as they turn in there. A lot of unweighted kind of non-straight braking zones. Another one right there.
Picking up Michael Andretti now through the Honda hairpin and onto the front straightaway. Huge spectator mounds down there will be covered with people this weekend. 4-day attendance for this event expected to top 300,000 for the first time ever.
I spent some time with the Bridgestone engineers this morning. I said, how much has this tire changed since I raced here in '97 and won that race? He said, Scott, well, it's actually identical except just 1 step harder on the compound. He said, actually, the guys probably won't even know the difference. That's how good that tire was back then.
Michael Andretti has had great experiences here. A couple of poles, a race win. Second a year ago to Cristiano D'Amata.
First win in a Reynard here.
That's right, back in '94. First win for the Reynard chassis.
Big
Champ
show.
Car race.
Michael was good at that. Did the same thing with the Swift down at Homestead.
This is on the Esplanade, coming up to turn 5.
This is that part where they're cutting that cone down, right? Bang. And now you see the third one's been cut off now. It was dangling by a thread there.
Look at all those marks across the front of his nose. That white nose, you can see all those black marks. Those are just from taking out the cones.
This is Main Beach Parade. Main Beach, driver's right.
And if they do something overnight to keep the guys off it, the track will be a good bit slower tomorrow just by virtue of that fact. There'll probably be more grip, which might partially offset that. But if they do something to keep the guys off those curbs, they might be hard pressed to go quicker than the pole time that is set today.
Adrian Fernandez is our provisional pole sitter at the moment with a lap at 133.364 seconds. Lap record is held by Dario Franchitti at 131.703. See how close we get. Stay with us. Welcome back live to Surfers Paradise. Don't forget this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, check out Speed News for all the news and highlights from the day in motorsports. Speed News Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Then on Sunday, 30 minutes of NASCAR exclusive, NASCAR edition, followed by the rest of the news from Motorsports World on Speed News Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Dave Despain and Ralph Shaheen will be your hosts this weekend. Check it out. Saturday and Sunday at 7, only on Speed Channel. Since we left you a moment ago, 3 different drivers have moved to the top of the speed charts. Michael Andretti took it, then Oriol Servia, Paul Tracy, and Adrian Fernandez, who is back into the provisional pole position at 132.328. There's Paul Tracy making his way down Breaker Street to Cerisier Avenue and the Honda hairpin. To Derek Daly.
Bob, you mentioned earlier that Paul Tracy came here with a new haircut. He came here with a no haircut, a shaved head. Rumor has it that he's trying to disguise himself, so it's when he says something, people won't know who's saying it, because apparently we hear what he says is costing him a small fortune. Right, TK?
Well, he's under a bit of a gag order, it appears, both as far as what his plans are for next year, but also something he said on the radio to his team, a private communication. They fined him because they thought it reflected poorly on some part of the team. So we'll have to see how this unfolds, but PT is just kind of not saying a whole lot right now. We're going to try to get something out of him as the week goes along. It'll be interesting to maybe ask Barry Green or Michael Andretti. Michael will probably want to distance himself from that conversation, but find out if there is in fact a gag order in place on PT. If there's a tough guy to gag, it's probably PT, huh?
That's unbelievable too, because Cool and Players, it's the same parent company. That doesn't, I mean, there's something there that's a little stinky.
Watching Paul Tracy, Adrian Fernandez appears to be having great success here in provisional qualifying. Calvin Fish may be standing by with a reason.
Well, yeah, he's got a new engineer this weekend. There was a very much publicized split between Adrian and Don Holiday just a few weeks ago. They had a new guy in place at Miami. Didn't seem to really work out. And they brought in Dave Watson. He worked with Max Pappas earlier in the season with the Sigma Autosport team. And I rode with Adrian in the elevator this morning. He said, well, we've had no testing to do, so let's really just throw ourselves together here today and see how it works out. Very fast in the morning practice session, currently at the top of the chart. So I would suggest that Dave is pretty much on solid ground right now, Bob.
I would say so, Calvin, as you watch Paul Tracy flashing toward the start-finish line. Currently P2 does not improve.
We were talking about, we just saw a few shots at Jimmy, and even here you can see how aggressive these guys can be on this track. It's too bad, Tommy, you never got a chance to race here, because this is a blast.
Well, I was eyeballing those V8s. I drove the V8s in the Bathurst 1000 in '96, and they've got 2 rounds of the championship. They've been here on the support bill, and if you look at the overhead on the front straightaway, you see all the standing start lines. The V8 cars do a standing start, so if I come down next year, I might try to book a little seat time in the V8.
Oh man,
supercar.
We have got to get those, baby. We have got to get those cars on Speed Channel. The Australian V8 supercars. You have never seen something like this. And the trucks, what are they called? The V8 Brutes.
The Brutes.
Oh. And a Brute is kind of like a modern day El Camino or a Ranchero. They look like a car on the front, and they look like a Falcon or a Holden up front, but then they have a little short pickup bed.
Speed.
Look like something out of
PT jumping through the chicane on the back. That is so much fun, these chicanes, jumping them, hitting them, working your way through. Scott Dixon here on board with him.
The hometown favorite. If you overlook the fact that his hometown is actually 1,200 water miles away in New Zealand. We'll be back. Welcome back live to Surfers Paradise. Bob Varsha along with Tommy Kendall and Scott Pruitt in the announce position above the flag stand, from which waves a red flag. Down in the pit lane, Calvin Fish and Derek Daly are on the case. We have a lot to tell you about. In the last 60 seconds or so, we had a new lap record and a new provisional pole sitter in Paul Tracy. But the big story is right there, the wreckage of Jimmy Vasser's car. A big crash in the turn 1 chicane that brought out the red.
Big crash, a lot of damage on that race car. You saw Jimmy just walking back. Currently sitting 4th. An amazing thing, sitting 3rd is his teammate, Michel Jourdain.
So Jimmy's going to lose that lap time because of this red flag. And you saw, like you said, pretty heavy damage. We haven't seen a replay yet, but it's the same place. It might be the same situation as Michel Jourdain, but there's big marks on the left side. So the same thing happened. He got further around. The rear wing is gone in both left corners.
You mean Mario Dominguez?
Who did I say?
Michel Jourdain?
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah. What he said.
I think a minute ago I said New Zealand was 12,000 miles away. Of course, I mean 1,200, but I don't get down here very often. Here's a look at where we stand. Paul Tracy, 131.575, breaking unofficially Dario Franchitti's lap record from back in 1999 by about 0.2 of a second. Then Adrian Fernandez, who's been at the top of the charts for most of the session. Michel Jourdain Jr. 3rd, Jimmy Vasser 4th, but as Tommy mentioned, he will lose his quick time. We'll have to see how far he falls. Oriol Servia currently 5th, followed by Michael Andretti, Shinji Nakano, Tony Kanaan, Patrick Carpentier, and Dario Franchitti.
We saw PT cut the track in the back. I'm not saying that's not his fast lap, but it'll be interesting how things shake out here.
Usually, I mean, that's a huge margin. That's
huge margin.
8/10 quicker than the second fastest guy, and 1.4 quicker than they ran this morning. Derek?
Jimmy Vasser is making the long walk back, but a preliminary discussion with his engineer seems to indicate it was driver maybe overstepping the limits just a little bit too much down at turn 1.
There's Mark Johnson, who's calling the shots in Jimmy Vasser's pit this weekend. Bobby Rahal is not here. Scott Remke is over in Michel Jourdain Jr.'s pits.
Interesting story. Mark Johnson and I worked together at PPI when I ran Toyota here in '99, and moved over with this and worked with me in Cup as well.
There's Mark.
Also has some experience with Kawasaki's motorcycle programs over the years.
Exactly right.
Now we understand our host broadcaster here in Australia, Channel 10 Television, is not able to provide us with a replay of what happened to Jimmy Vasser down in turn 1. I suppose the bottom line is the result, a very damaged race car, the loss of a lap for Jimmy. Here's a program update. The Trans Am Series finale is coming your way from Virginia International Raceway. You can catch it live Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, only here on Speed Channel. It's a beautiful day here on the Gold Coast of Eastern Australia. We'll take a break and be back in just a moment. Stand by. There's the wreckage of Jimmy's car.
Welcome back again live to Surfers Paradise. Jimmy Vasser. Jimmy, I know you're getting ready to jump in the spare car. What happened?
I locked up the rears. I lost the rear. I was pretty close to D'Amata going into turn 1. I don't know if it took some air off the back wing and made the rear light or what, but the rear just locked up and I lost the back.
But Jimmy, I know you looked at the lap times. You're actually quicker. You believe there's a lot more speed left here?
Well, the team does. I haven't been out in this car yet, so we'll find out.
Okay, Jimmy, thank you. Calvin?
Quick update on Dario Franchitti. He talked about the cars being identical as in the primary and the backup. He just came into the pit lane. He said, my car is a bucket of, I think he said bolts or something in Scottish, but they're really panicking down here. Major changes during that little stoppage there to try and get this car working for this session. Cristiano D'Amata doesn't really have a fast time on the board, but his thumbs up down here. They feel very confident about the setup on the Haviland car. Let's go back to Double D.
Calvin, both players' cars came here with very high hopes because Ford, believe it or not, has done remarkably well here in years past. However, this morning they were slow. The suspension was way too soft and they did not have enough downforce on. They made all the changes, but Tagliani blew the engine in his race car just before Vasser crashed. They were not going to put him into the spare car until Vasser's red. They are working feverishly right now on Tag's car to get him into the spare, to get him out, to hopefully make him go faster.
Speaking of working feverishly, Cristiano D'Amata is putting one together right here. He had not really done a meaningful lap before the red flag, so he's working really hard to get one in.
Currently 17th of the 18 drivers.
Cutting the curbs there. Looks real tidy, real fast. Smooth. And he's one of those guys that's aggressive too. He'll jump all these curbs.
Remember, he was the fast man in the morning practice at 132.977. That would be good only for 5th place.
We understand. It's like there's a little traffic up ahead of him.
And this is how he does it. Whenever he needs one, he's able to pull one out.
Adrian Fernandez on the road ahead of him.
Hopefully he won't get blocked on this lap. Adrian trying to get around the corner in front of him. Slowed him down.
Through the Honda hairpin, onto the front straightaway.
On his way in.
Yep, D'Amato will pit. Yellow flag, full course yellow. And there's the reason.
It's not a full course. It's just that's just past pit exit. Right about the spot where he crashed in '97.
Fittipaldi has pulled off. That's just at pit out.
They'll try to pull him back and not go red.
According to Calvin Fish, the team, the Newman Haas squad, does not know why Fittipaldi stopped. Adrian Fernandez continues on his way. Seeing a yellow flag from the flag stand threw me off there for a moment. To Derek Daly.
Interesting. Paul Tracy has done 7 flying laps. You know how I know? I didn't look at timing and scoring. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Witch's Hat signatures on his front wing.
Brutal. Brutal.
Halloween's coming up, right? A witch's hat decoration.
Trick or treat.
Now, with PT getting fined for his comments, I wonder if that bucket of bolts, a bucket of whatever comment from Dario will draw a 50G fine.
Of course.
What do you think?
Of course. I'd say, you know,
right?
Fair play.
Oh, speaking of Dario Franchitti.
Big
front
shot.
Wing pieces down at the end of the backstretch, isn't it? Onto Breaker Street. Red flag. Franchitti hard into the driver's right at turn 8.
Oh,
Big
you know
shot.
what?
Looks like he caught the curb on the inside and just shot him.
Or is it a hard wall?
Billiard ball job. Hit it left, then hit it right.
See the black marks right into the wall. He either could have caught the curb or just touched the wall on the inside and just rocketed him straight. It could probably hit him on the.
Is there a curb in that corner, or is it just a fixed wall? See, the apex in this case, this is what used to happen on all the street courses, and gradually they've been pulling back. Watch the top of your frame in this upcoming replay. Okay, that's just the tail end of it, but what happened, he hit the inside wall, and it used to be that's how the street courses were. Gradually, CART's been pulling back those inside walls and putting curbs in places where they can, where they want to improve the line of sight. I kind of like these old layouts because there was no margin for error, and it just seemed to separate the field a little bit more between the guys who are really committed and precise. This will, more or less the same.
Yeah.
You see, he didn't turn at all.
You know, they've been really struggling with this car. Tommy just said they were trying to make a bunch of changes to it. Not happy with it at all. Now he's even less happy.
And that will cost him his best lap of the session. Franchitti currently shown in 11th. Behind Paul Tracy in P1, Adrian Fernandez 2nd, Tony Kanaan 3rd, Michel Jourdain 4th, and Jimmy Vasser in 5th. Let's go to Calvin Fish.
Well, these teams always play the games, Bob, and Cristiano D'Amato has been caught out a little bit with these stoppages. He really doesn't have a good time on the board, so he's immediately gone to his second set of Bridgestones. So I think as soon as we get green flag conditions, he's going to be back out there. We understand there's just under 12 minutes of guaranteed time left, so he should have plenty of time to get a good run here, 4 or 5 laps. Tony Kanaan just makes his way back in. So even though this team has had so much success this year, they always get a little bit nervous when they don't have a time on the board.
This is one of those tracks where the Bridgestones really use, or you get that fast lap about lap 2, lap 3, and then it drops off. That's what's going to be important for these guys on a set of stickers. Cristiano's sitting there ready to go out. He's got to get out there and get that job done and not get blocked.
Well, he's got 12 minutes of guaranteed time, but what also happens if you get a red on someone's first lap, that might eat up 4 minutes. So you could fritter away 4 minutes of time and never get a lap in if you keep having reds.
We'll take another break. There's a look at your top 5. Stand by for more live qualifying from round 17 of the Kart FedEx Championship, Surfers Paradise, Australia.
Welcome back to kart qualifying from Surfers Paradise. Dario Franchitti's made his way back to pit lane, talking to Alan McDonald here, see if we can get a quick word with him. Dario, what happened out there, mate?
I just flipped inside wall, put me in the outside. But
Seems like the backup car wasn't quite working as you'd like.
yeah, the backup car was terrible today. It's absolutely nothing like the primary in all sorts of areas. So, you know, I don't know how we're expected to go out and qualify with a car like that, because it's simply not good enough.
Another day tomorrow.
Yeah, I think they're going to put the some stuff on the chicanes, which I think is probably going to slow it down for tomorrow. So I think today was our big shot.
All right, mate. Good luck tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd say that was his big shot.
Obviously despondent Dario Franchitti. You saw the car heavily damaged on the right side.
Talked about that. You just have to clip the inside, and it just rocket right into the outside fence. And it's a
You don't need to change your trajectory by a couple degrees, and all of a sudden what's a fast way through there all of a sudden is a quick stop. And that highlights that difference in kind of procedure for Team Cool Green in terms of not keeping their backup car updated until they need it. The other teams, like I said, the furthest out another team's car that does it the other way can be is whatever changes have taken place in that session. Team Cool Green leaves theirs in the trailer, or in this case, behind the garage area until they need it. And you saw the results. Dario, not a happy camper.
So we are back under green with 11 minutes and 45 seconds to go in this qualifying session. All of it green flag after the extended delays. Wondering if Christian Fittipaldi, I assume he suffers no penalty for having brought out that local yellow before Dario brought out the red.
no harm, no foul for locals.
I would say so.
Just the red.
Jimmy Vassar's backup car is nearly ready for him to take it back out.
All 3 target cars running in formation.
To rip off a fast one here, you got to do it clean. If you get held up just a little bit, even though you don't think you're getting held up, it adds up to about a half second. You want to find some good, clear running room. In fact, I think that's Dixon. You see him trying to find a good place to run hard and clean.
Letting Kenny Brack go by, follow Bruno Junqueira. Dixon trying to bring the tires up to temperature. It takes about 2 laps, we are told. Kenny Brack has got an interesting weekend coming up next weekend. He has recruited some professional musicians to join him for the CARA, that is the Championship Auto Racing Auxiliary Runway Madness event, which will take place in Ontario, California. As a part of the 500 presented by Toyota Weekend. Michael Anthony, bass player from Van Halen, will be joining Kenny, along with a couple of other pros to put on a little concert, take part of the entertainment. And you can be a part of it. If you'd like to buy a ticket to Runway Madness, check out their website at CARAUX, that is CARAUX.org.
And people are always asking me where we film Kart Friday night. They want to show up and support it. We will also be doing Kart Friday night from the CARA. So if you buy that ticket, you'll be live from Runway Madness. So one of the other guys that's in that band, Super RPM, one of the hospitality guys for players, Rick, is the former drummer from Blue Oyster Cult. So he will be in Super RPM, and I believe they have a top blues guitarist as well.
I was amazed to hear that. Rick Downey used to be the drummer for Blue Oyster Cult. Now he works. What is it with drummers and racing? Remember Frank Beard from ZZ Top raced for a couple of years at the 24 Hours of Daytona. Nigel Olsson, Elton John's old drummer, raced a Ferrari in the Ferrari Challenge. And now Rick Downey. I love it. Let's go to Calvin Fish.
Well, we're down with Christian Fittipaldi's car, and they're switched to the backup car. We're still not sure what was wrong with the primary, but you see Peter Gibbons there. Craig Hampson went up to Peter, asked him a question. I would assume it's relating to Damata's setup, and here you see Peter Gibbons working the magic on the shocks. Then Christian will get in the car and see if he can put a fast one together, but not many minutes left.
And there will be no minutes left, it appears, for Cristiano Damata, who's gone straight on and behind the tire barriers down there in turn 3.
One of the fastest part of the tracks right there, and there's no way to get out of there, so he's going to have to turn the car around. If there's something wrong with it, he'll park it in the back, and there's not something wrong with trying to get turned around and head back out and continue on. And why we also caught a couple shots. Jimmy Vassar has got back out in his backup car. We'll see what Jimmy can do. Very fast so far here this week, and even though he got his fastest lap taken away.
Cristiano looked like he pulled in there a long ways. And that's 32. That's Carpentier.
That's in the
That's at
turn one complex.
Yeah. And this is a good shot, the exit of turn one. See that curbing there with the wall pulled back? The wall used to be right at that checkered or striped red and white curbing on the right. And now they have pulled it back, so the driver's using every bit of the room. This is the replay of D'Amata. Yeah, it looks like he drove it in there. It doesn't look like he was trying to get it stopped, and so he's driving into the back of the runoff, so that car has quit on him. I was just about to say, don't you find it odd that everything that goes wrong on Christian's car? And the other one always seems to be perfect. So as soon as I thought that, before I could even say it, Cristiano.
Well, there's the reason for the red flag, the third one we've had in this 35-minute session. Patrick Carpentier straight on there at turn one. Doesn't look like he damaged the car. Here's another look.
Yeah, turn one. Slight bend to the right, left. Catch the curb. Locks it up.
Oh, it looks like he lost the back. And so he was losing it after when he turned to the left, didn't even get it back to the right. Seen some odd looking crashes there today.
Well, things will get busy in the pit lane along the Gold Coast Highway. We'll take a quick break and be back with more live qualifying from Surfers Paradise. Paul Tracy still P1. Under green at Surfers Paradise, and the next to last round of the Speed World Challenge is coming your way here on Speed from Road Atlanta. The touring class Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, followed by the GT class at 9, only on Speed Channel. 7 minutes and 37 seconds and counting remaining in this session. Everyone back out, including that man, Cristiano D'Amata, who had driven his car behind the tires at the end of the front straight, but then got it back out under the red flag. And here he is, none the worse for wear.
This has been kind of a crazy qualifying session, all the things that have happened. I think this is probably the most we've seen all year.
You got that right. And the one thing I said about red flags frittering away 3 or 4 minutes at a time, the first one, we had 12 minutes before, and we went green, but nobody really got much of a lap in. So now we're down to just over 7 minutes to go at this point. Cristiano raced out of the pits, got some temperature, and now he's looking for a clear spot of track. He's always been able to come up with a lap when he needs one.
And he's going to need one. Right now he is 15th. Calvin Fish has more on D'Amata.
Well, I just spoke to the team. I said, any lockup when he went behind the wall on turn 3? They said, no, he just missed the corner. The car feels really good. We just haven't cut a fast lap right now. The team is confident. He's got some good wheels underneath him. Let's see what he can put together now, boys.
Now remember, it's almost 3 miles around here, so you have to go 3 miles to get the green and another 3 miles for the first time lap, and then you actually need one more, so you got to tie quite a bit of miles together, almost 12 miles together to get that fast lap. That's tough to do.
Now enjoy this, folks, because Cristiano is a qualifying master. The chips are down. He's always been able to respond. That's one of those places right there, Scott, where the crown of the road, really the back of the car really wants to kick out.
See that traffic right ahead of him. He's not going to be able to pull off a couple quick laps like he wants to. Even though it doesn't look like it's going to affect him, it's close enough where it's going to be a problem.
The good news is Kenny Brack is in the same boat as him and is at least trying to put a good one together. Looks like Cristiano's catching him very quickly, though.
Cristiano's going to have to slow down.
You have 5 minutes left. Settle down, give yourself some room, and get a clear lap the best you can.
He needs to slow down here, there he goes, slowing down, because that lap's done.
He thought he had done what they were telling. He thought he had done what they were telling him to do. He'd found himself a nice gap, but the accordion thing we've seen all year long bites Christian. So now 5 minutes and 12 seconds to go. Yeah, talking about going down the escape road, it looked odd to us, but I think that's one of those things. He was on his last set of stickers, and so when the tires locked, and here we have Oriol Servia, is not going to cause a red. What I was saying about Cristiano, when you're in that situation, rather than trying to gather it up.
Woo! Actually, I talked to that team earlier. They said they've had a lot of problems with the brakes here, the Visteon team. Looks like they still have them.
Cristiano did what I was saying, did the opposite. The minute he got some lockup, he just gave up on the corner, went down the escape road, and did not ruin or flat spot those tires. so he throws away that lap, but he's still got good tires underneath him. We saw Paul Tracy do that in Toronto. Went down the escape road, came back, and took the pole on Friday.
This should be a real good lap to watch right here. He's on his way onto the back straight as we speak. Looks like he should get a real good run.
Hey, that number that Paul Tracy put up, still 8/10 clear of the field.
Down turn 6, drive clear over the inside curve, all the way over, right to the grass. A lot of crown on the road, got to be very careful with exits on a number of places on this racetrack. Up and over the curbs, the back, down into 8. Trax control is really helping these guys out here. It used to be these cars would just light them up. Now you can just put your foot down and the engine management system
Bruno
controls.
Junqueira to the top, 131.51. So Bruno sneaks one in and knocks Paul back to P2. Let's see if Cristiano can answer back to Bruno.
By 0.06 of a second, Junqueira at the top. D'Amata to third at 132.282.
Still 3 minutes left.
Wow.
Talk about being aggressive. This is one of those tracks where aggression pays dividends.
That's the most curb I've seen anybody use in turn 2 thus far.
Junqueira, Tracy, Dixon now into third. Looks like he has clear running room. Tony Kanaan.
Currently 6th.
You okay?
I think that's in turn 8 where Dario had his problem.
Yep. All those little curly cues of tire rubber you saw on the track were from a demonstration troop, drill show drivers.
This is where Cristiano has a decision to make. He's going to go through this chicane, then he will be approaching turn 8. There'll be yellow flags out for Tony. But if he spots Tony, he will keep going.
Too fast. He's carrying too much speed in. Couldn't make it happen.
Couldn't get
bailed out.
Cristiano will look up ahead. You'll see the yellow flag. If you can see the incident, you might hesitate for a second, but there's a chance that Cristiano still went in there hard and rolled the dice to try to keep this lap going.
Less than 2 minutes to go in the session. No improvement. 132.623, actually 0.4 slower.
So there's time to go, but they're getting into that area where the tires are past their best, so it's going to be hard to get that magic lap now.
Kind of difficult at this point. That magic lap has come and gone for some of these guys. Right now, as we speak, on those Bridgestones, that lap that just went by should have been the best lap.
This is Bruno Junqueira, provisional pole sitter.
He's a little further up the track from Cristiano, so he knows that Cristiano's behind him. He doesn't know if Cristiano's trying to start another quick one or not, so he has no choice but to keep trying to improve on his time. He's coming up on Tora Takagi.
Less than a minute to go.
This will not be an improvement for Bruno. You're going to get caught up too much with Tora. Locks him up. Tora Takagi does. Very difficult. Flat spots probably. Yeah,
Onto the
he's back
straight away.
He's going to be on his way in.
Junqueira will call off the lap. He could have gotten another one in.
Put it
He's
on the
used
mark,
only
Bruno.
10.
Bring her all the way to Ricky. Your P1 with 20 seconds remaining. P1.
The crew telling him, just wait for the hot laps to finish. 15 seconds to go now. None of the drivers in danger of using up all 15 of his timed laps. D'Amata finishes another lap but cannot improve. Same for Dixon and Fernandez in third and fifth. Checkered flag waves. D'Amata's lap will count. We'll follow him around to the finish.
He's going to be driving this thing hard, but I just don't think he's got enough goodie left in the tire to yank one off to put him up at the top. See the back end get away from him here. Very difficult, this crown.
Right out by the wall.
You saw that crown. When you brake really hard on the crown, it can sometimes suck you into the wall on the entrance to the corner.
Michel Jourdain Jr.'s final lap got him up to 6th on the provisional grid. Michael Andretti's final lap put him 7th.
You run the risk with a guy like Brack. If Brack has concluded that he can't go quicker on this lap, he might cool it off on this lap, and head for the pits, which will really mess up Cristiano. Looks like Brack's still on it, though.
Yeah, it does.
There's a car in front of Brack, though, that might be doing the same.
Yeah, they're trying to get that last flyer in.
Looks like they might get through the hairpin before D'Amato arrives.
Coming to the checkered.
See how much more slide there is coming off 11 as the tires wear a little bit.
Oh, he improves to 4th, but that's all for Cristiano D'Amato. So the provisional grid looks like Junqueira, Tracy, Dixon, and D'Amato will be back. Speed Channel's coverage of the CART FedEx Championship Series is brought to you by Prudential Financial, growing and protecting your wealth. By Porsche, what only a Porsche brings to driving. And by FedEx, proud sponsor of the FedEx Championship Series. Let's get to Calvin Fish with our provisional pole sitter.
Well, Bruno, that was a sensational lap you put together there. Hopping the curbs, how much fun is that?
Oh, it's good. It's very fun when you put a fast lap together. On my best lap, I didn't use the curb. Just in the last one that I went completely over the curbs, but I got Takagi in a slow down and pit. But lucky could put me on the pole.
All right, great job today. Very important. Everyone thinks this may be the pole day if they raise those curbs, Bob.
That's right, Calvin. That point will help Bruno strengthen his 2nd position in the championship as well. Be sure to check out CART Friday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 Pacific. 2nd round qualifying also Friday night at 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific. And then the race itself on Saturday night. For Tommy, Derek, Scott, and Calvin, I'm Bob Varsha. See you later on Friday.